got something, you know, to combat all the shit that I'm already fucked up with. Yeah, I had to get back in shape, man. I got some performances coming up. I'm rapping again now. I got to get my wind up. I'm fortunate though. I'm fortunate because I got good genes. Give a round of applause for having good genetics. Round of applause. Yeah, let me get on there. I had to start losing some weight. You know, COVID really. You know, I got COVID for the first time 3 years ago when it first came out, and it really did some shit to the mind and the body. I got some existing long COVID shit. And then I got it again a couple years later, this year in February, and I'm just now getting over it because my hearing in the left ear just now coming back. I had gotten it in February and was deaf, like 40% deaf in both ears. And then it started clearing up. I went to the doctor, blah, 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 but this one doesn't drain properly. I used to have tubes in my ear, so that COVID shit really, and it almost took me out again. It almost took me the fuck out. Luckily, I had lost a little weight by then, too, because the first time I was overweight that I had it. So I know if I have another bout of that shit, I don't know if I can make it. So that's why I've been, and I thank goodness that I have good genetics. If it wasn't for good genetics, I don't know if I can make another round of COVID, man. If I didn't have good genetics, I've been working out for 2 weeks, and my shit coming back. It ain't like when I was a little younger, you know. I go into the gym and hulk out and be back to prime time in 3 weeks. I can't do that shit no more. I have to do it in sections now. I have to. Being older, I have to do cardio first and get my wind back and stretching and all that old shit, and then ease into the next phase and start lifting. I'm in the next phase now. I'm lifting some weights and trying to get my form back in regards to form of, you know, how you lift and all that old shit, and then I can ease into a little bit of powerlifting. I don't want to do that shit no more because it's too much to maintain. It's too much to keep this shit filled and being a big dude, you know, it was cool when I was younger and walking around lifting up houses and shit, but maintaining that shit as you get older it's not no because you start losing motivation. You know, you realize when you're getting older, you're doing a lot of it because of vanity, and that shit ain't important to you no more. You're like, fuck, I don't know, lifting some goddamn weight. Then you sit around for a couple of years, a pandemic hit and let you sit around and you get to looking at yourself, you're like, oh shit. And then I'm breathing all funny and crazy, walking up 2 stairs, and yeah, I can't. And I don't want to die the next time I have COVID. So, I had to get my camera 2 done went up. So I had to get my thing back on the right. What's up, James? What's going on with you? Genetics, the gift and the curse. It is, boy. Look here. And another thing that I learned from, because I used to be a gym rat. If you can know that, I used to be, you know, all this shit right here ain't for nothing. When you young, you couldn't tell me shit. We was lifting up houses, and we, you know, I remember how we used to move, because I did security at nightclubs, and I remember when people used to block people in, and it wasn't just me, it was other cats built like trees that worked at this club too. And I remember, you know, people used to block us in or get blocked in. We used to go outside, lift their car up, and move it. Boom. And so when you're young, it pressed upon us to do squats. You know, you want everything to be equal, and so I was doing as much to my legs as I was to my upper body. So I had big legs, and I was doing squats, which is unnecessary. You know how bad my knees are right now, And then my dog damn near broke both my legs 3 weeks ago trying to protect me because somebody creeping up behind me and shit while I'm cleaning up his shit. And it was Matrix and ice skating at the same time. My legs went that, man, look here. And doing them squats, shit like that. When you got to tie your shit off, you shouldn't be doing it. If you got to wrap your knees to keep them together, when you gonna do an exercise, you probably shouldn't be doing it. You know what I'm saying? It's cool when you're young, cause your shit elastic and snap back, think. When you get older, that shit don't, no. I had to get my health together too, start in November. I do CrossFit weekly and I'm still laid out like a beast. Yo, it you know, it felt good as you get older to like just say fuck it, lay back. You know, I got my baby, he loves me and all that old shit. But when you can't breathe, you know what I'm saying? It's like, yeah, I'm gonna have to go ahead and walk a couple stairs. And my dog looking at me like, nigga, get up. Like, come on, man. Let's at least walk. Let's walk around the living room. He be looking at me like, come on. And it ain't fair to him. It ain't fair to him. So, you know, you got to motivate yourself every day somehow. Just like I got to motivate myself to come in this bitch on Tuesdays. I made it Tuesdays and Thursdays to do this show and build this content for my channels. And even when you don't want to, man, even when you don't want to, because not 5-10 minutes into whatever you got to do that you done made yourself do you get into it. You know, you're like, man, I don't know why I didn't want to do this shit. I feel, you know, and that's what it be sometimes. You just got to get over that threshold, that initial threshold, and you in it. Just like walking my dog and doing exercise. I had to talk to myself. Writing music. Like last night. So I've been doing these exercises because I've been on a roll. And sometimes when I'm on a songwriting roll, you hit a bump. And then you feel some kind of way like you inadequate all of a sudden. It's like I had a goal to put out a new song every 2 weeks, but it's got to be banging. It can't be no bullshit. And so, yeah, I got a couple things that I'm working on, whatever, but it's not inspiring. So I'm not going to write to it. But then last night I was like, I want to challenge myself and go through some songs and beats that I wouldn't normally. I'm trying to do some music writing like relationships. So I always go for this same type of person. What if I went for this type of person? So I'm doing it. I was thinking about this last night with the music. I always do this type of, because I sound good. Let me see if I can write to this. Because the music that I don't like and I don't write to, there's an audience for that. I'm stuck with this audience. And stuck is using the wrong word, but I'm with this audience, which is cool, but I'd like to get this audience too, but they don't fuck with this type of music. They like these type of beats. So I'm gonna go with I've been listening, like last night, listening to the type of music I wouldn't normally rap to, and see if I could put something down to it, because it kind of worked when I did a song called there's two of them. I had to hear it to know which one exactly. And they're lo-fi beats. And I never really rapped on lo-fi beats before. But the shit came out dope. I was like, oh shit, okay. I'm gonna have to, all right. So, you know, like, this is cool. Something I'm working on. You know, sound old schoolish. Whatever. It don't spark me. It's not banging enough. And so my thing is, even if it's not banging enough, write to it to see what you come up with. And then that's like performing at a satellite club. If you're a comic, you perform at a bar instead of a real comedy club. Are you gonna do lackluster jokes at the not a real comedy club because it's not a real comedy club, or you gonna give them the same show that you would give people at a real comedy club? So I'm trying to change my mindset to open myself up to new ways of creating. And I've been inspired lately by a couple things that I've heard. The last joint by what's his name, Joyner Truth or Joyner, what's his name? Something Joyner, something. That shit was dope. Called Broski. The Army don't use no weights, and they can make everybody like the G.I. Joe. They could. They picked on me, man, because I was, I wasn't G.I. Joe yet. I was G.I. Joe-esque. I had the size. I still had a bunch of baby fat. And then, I should have asked my uncles before I joined what they was going to do, but I tried to go in there and be all gung-ho and shit. And not want no advice, and I'm just going to do it on my own. Man, I should have asked questions. Because they knew my name, rank, and serial number as soon as I got off that fucking meat wagon. And you don't want them, that's like the principal knowing who you are when you go to a new school. They know your name the first damn day, something's wrong. And that's what happened, man. The motherfuckers, Private Lewis. I did so much exercise, and I'm supposed to be learning. We in class. Yeah, I'm on the floor doing push-ups while everybody taking notes and shit. I was that guy. I was the guy that they go around and take my plate from me and give it to the skinny dude. Say, you ain't ate enough, Private Lewis. Give your food. Give your food to the private next to you. Like, motherfucker, I'm hungry too. We just road march 20 miles. You gonna take my shit? It was funny though, because I went to join the Marines, but the Marines want you, which didn't make sense, because after going through basic training, I would have been at the weight that they, but they wanted your body mass to be at a certain point from the start. The Army knew, okay, yeah, we gonna work that shit off of you to begin with, so they didn't have a problem. So I wanted to go to the Marines because I like their uniforms was doper. Their whole little thing was doper to me visually. Ain't that some shit? You only join the military because their clothing look good. I'm gonna join this gang over here because I like their colors. That's all it was. I was a military brat though. I was doing it because my relatives, my uncles and grandfather, and even my daddy was in the Navy. Found that shit out. I bet he would. I got a brother, 100% Filipino. Well, he 50%. Mama 100% Filipino. I don't even know. I found out he existed a few years ago. I got a brother in the Philippines. I got siblings all over the world. My daddy was a Rolling Stone, literally. And I got there's a Philippine dude in the Philippines, look just like me, as big as he the biggest nigga in Philippines right now. That's my brother. You know what I'm saying? This nigga there named Rue. That's it. He's the biggest Filipino y'all ever seen. That's my brother. If it look abnormal, that's my relative over in the Philippines. Tell him to call Amaru. Tell him to call Hood Rawlz. Tell him his brother is looking for him. If you don't know who to look for somebody that look like me, but light-skinned it. He light-skinned it, and he'd be bigger than everybody in the family. That's my brother. Tell him to call a nigga. I miss him. I don't know him, but I miss him. I got two sisters in Arizona. I don't know. Never met. Don't know their name. I know they exist. They got to be in their 40s. Close. Yeah, they got to be in their 40s or close to it. I got a sibling in Indiana somewhere. My daddy was, he was a Rolling Stone. I know I got a sibling in Indiana or Gary somewhere because I was told this story about my daddy, man. My daddy was so my grandparents, my grandma, who was still alive, she lived in this yellow house in Gary. Now my family was friends. They grew up with the Jacksons. My uncle was Michael's best friend from kindergarten to the 5th or 6th grade. So the house next door on the corner was a young couple, and the sister of the couple, the wife, her little sister lived with them. So my daddy, and they were around the same age. They were kids. My daddy would sneak out the house and climb through their window and have sex with the wife's sister. My daddy got her pregnant. They didn't know, the wife and her husband didn't know that my daddy was banging the little sister. When the little sister got pregnant, the wife thought her husband got her pregnant and not my daddy, and broke up a whole family. Broke up a whole happy home. Broke up a whole happy home. Just out there wilding out, man. So I got a sibling, from a broken marriage that I don't know. And broke up a whole family that I don't know because of my daddy. I got this. So that's why, I be honest. I'm like, man, that nigga look just like. I be wanting to ask, hey, man, who your daddy is? Like, I don't know. I'm looking for it my whole life. We be on Maury and shit. A Maury reunion. My daddy was doing some shit. I remember one time my daddy was cheating. My daddy didn't give a fuck. He was a pimp. He actually took us. My daddy was fucked up, man. He actually took us to the. We actually spent the night at one of his girlfriend's house while he was married to my mama. I remember this shit because I found out some other shit later on in life as an adult through one of my cousins, and I started putting two and two together. I was like, damn, so that nigga was my brother? Like, yeah, shit like that in my life. So my daddy, one time, just one weekend, we went from the house, me and my little brother, we went from the house on Rawlz Street in Kalamazoo to the corner of Douglas and North Street where the fire station is, or it was a fire station there. I don't know if it's still there. Right next door is a white house next to the fire station. My daddy had a girlfriend that lived there. Now, me as a little kid, I'm putting two and two together slowly, but I didn't realize that was his girlfriend until we spent the first night over there that weekend. She had a son, and I can't remember his name. But we spent like 2-3 days, the whole weekend over at their house, had fun, went fishing, did all kind of shit with me and my dad, my brother. And he was doing all kind of shit with his mamas. So we left that weekend, went back home to Rawlz Street, down the street. it wasn't, it was a pimp shit. Like, it wasn't nothing. I'm sure they argued, he was out on the porch naked arguing, titty swinging, that normal thing they did. But, so later on in life as an adult, I'm sitting there talking with one of my cousins, and she telling me about this lady who my daddy used to date, one of his girlfriends. I was like, I remember her. Didn't she used to stay at so-and-so next to the fire station? She's like, yeah. She's like, yeah, she had to flee him. She was telling me how my daddy used to beat on her, and how when she, because he beat my mama. He beat all of us. And how he used to beat on her, and how she didn't realize that he was beating on us too, because, she's like, your mama always had y'all clean. I was like, yeah, she hid it well. And what's up, Sarah? I'm talking about your uncle. Matter of fact, Dolly told me this shit. And she was like, I didn't know. I didn't know, because my daddy was Dolly's favorite uncle. But she didn't know that bad shit. She was like, I didn't know, because your mama kept y'all clean. Every time we seen you, y'all hair was combed, it was in a suit. My mama was Jehovah's Witness. So she was like, yeah, she had to flee him. Like, he drug her out in the middle of the street by her hair, whooping her ass and blah, blah. I was like, word? And so I was like, that chick she had a little boy with her. She was like, I was like, that was my brother? She was like, didn't know. And to this day, I don't know his name. I want to say his name was Quentin. I don't know why that name sticks with me. I want to say his name was Quentin. That's all I know, all I remember. I don't remember what dude looked like. I couldn't point him out in the lineup. If he said that was me, I don't remember. But that was my brother. That was me and my little brother's brother. and we played with him for a weekend. That's it. Our whole life. Ain't that some shit? That's some shit. Probably a handful of times I ever told that story. Like, yeah, I got missing links out there and shit. That I don't know if he live in Kalamazoo to today or not. But I got relatives, I got siblings around this country that I don't know. And I know this is one of them daydreams I used to have. I used to, think to myself one day, like, I become famous and all my lost relatives that was my siblings and shit to see me be like, he looks like me, or some shit, some crazy shit. And try to contact me, and we have this big ass reunion. And it turned out I got like 67 brothers and sisters that I never met. Some wild shit. But yeah, man, I'd like to know. I'd like to know who they are. You know what I'm saying? That's, these are the things you create, fellas, when you out here, offspringing, and you got your kids later on in life wondering where the fuck they came from, who they are. This what that be like later on in life.